welcome to At the Disney Movies with the Hearts.
I'm Kelly.
I'm David.
And this week, we're going to podcast. Yeah. We're going to try to review this movie. It's The Parent Trap from 1961.
Don't sound so excited.
I was working on that for 22 minutes, David.
It began with an incredible resemblance, a remarkable coincidence.
It's my mother. It's my mother, too.
An extraordinary discovery.
Golly. Sisters.
And now, Susan and Sharon, two twins separated since they were babies, have an ingenious plan to get their parents back together.
Which? We could do it.
It's double the trouble and 3 times the laughs when Hayley Mills and Haley Mills team up to spring The Parent Trap.
Surprise!
Exclusively on the Disney Channel.
Parent Trap from 1961. So what was your initial thoughts, David?
Well, I mean, I had already given it away at the end of the last movie. This is a fantastic movie.
It's pretty good.
It's great. No, it's great. If you only think it's pretty good, then there's going to be a rough time with the rest of this.
No. Don't get me wrong. I think it's really good, and I'm going to say something really controversial. I think the remake is just as good, if not better, in parts. Just parts. Parts.
Obviously, because I haven't seen it, I would totally beg to differ, and I highly doubt it, but okay.
Here's my thing. This movie is great. It's awesome, but not in the way I thought it was going to be, and it had been a really long time since I watched it. But the first part of the movie, the first probably 30 minutes, the other one just kills it over this one. What was that? David disagrees. Well, you haven't seen the other one, so I'm just saying I think they're equally good in their own way, and I was actually really surprised by that.
This movie's practically perfect.
Oh no, this movie is amazing, and I was actually I thought that Haley Mills was going to be that darn cat star of this movie, and she was good, but she wasn't the VIP of this movie.
No. Mom and Dad.
Maureen O'Hara is amazing. Oh my God. She's my favorite.
Yeah, she really steals her scenes. And so does the dad. Every scene he's in, he knocks out of the park.
To the mother of my children. And the most beautiful mother any 2 kids ever had.
You can be the most exasperating.
Oh, what did I say? What's the matter?
Waiting until we're here in the kitchen eating stew and me in my bare feet.
I like these bare feet.
Well, it puts a woman at a disadvantage.
Good. It's your disadvantage.
Huh.
Yeah, no, I guess I thought because just based on that darn cat, I thought, oh, hey, it's Haley Mills. She's going to be so good. And she was good.
Yeah, she was. But she was a little young. But, I mean, we just saw those Callaways and how great he was.
And he's playing the same character, basically.
No, he's playing a much slicker, still rugged, but definitely a great male.
Very, very charming, I will say that.
Yeah.
But Maureen O'Hara is just, oh my God. She's one of my favorite female characters of all the movies that we watched. She's so good.
Of all the movies.
Yes, I would argue that she's probably the best female character of all the movies that we've watched.
Better than Arabella?
Yes. Yeah, easily. She's so good at I can't even explain it. She's just amazing. She's classic Hollywood, really good.
She is very classic Hollywood, and she is so
hot.
Oh no, she's definitely hot.
Oh, that's what you were saying.
But she's very clever. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, she's very clever, and she just I just really liked her character.
She gets it done, that's for sure.
Yeah. Let me read the synopsis.
Yeah, go for it.
Really quick. The Parent Trap, 1961. Romance, family, comedy. Haley Mills lights up the screen in Disney's beloved The Parent Trap. Mills stars as Susan and Sharon, identical twins separated at birth. Neither twin knows the other exists until a simple twist of fate finds them at the same summer camp. Then, realizing who they are, they plan a little twist of their own. They switch places with high hopes of getting their divorced parents back together. Contains tobacco. The director, David Swift, no relation to Taylor Swift. He's really more of a writer than a director.
Yeah, I mean, in this movie he wrote and directed, he adapted it from a book.
Yes, of course.
Once again, this is another book Disney movie, which is a German book, which is kind of odd to me.
Das Doppeldeckchen, which is like doppelganger, but...
Yeah, which, it's a fine title. It's weird that it's a German book, because it seems so American.
Yeah. No, it does.
But
and I was actually...
maybe, I don't know.
I was surprised that he was a writer on the remake, too, which explains why the remake is so good.
See, and I wonder if he was actually a writer on the remake, or he got writing credit because he adapted the book.
Well, maybe because, I mean, there were a lot of there's a lot of lines that are the same in the remake as this one.
See, and I'm sure that that's true.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll be all gaga for the remake, but I kind of doubt it.
It's just different. It's different. And
in my opinion, this movie has wonderful classical style.
It does. And
it is just unbeatable by a modern movie.
And he was a writer also on Candleshoe, which is...
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, which he's a head writer on Candleshoe, which is also a win.
I just thought he wrote part of Pollyanna, or he directed Pollyanna, and was also a writer on Alfred Hitchcock and the Rifleman, big 60s TV shows.
Yeah, no, definitely all the actors were big 60s actors. This seems like a pretty big deal movie for the time.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy because going into this movie, when you make this movie as Disney in 1961, are you thinking this is going to be
a blockbuster?
A blockbuster for multi-generations to come? Because I can't see that. I mean, it has a great intro with the little music and blah, 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 and the claymation. But do you really think that this is going super far?
I mean, probably not, but it is really good, and it's a good story, and it's...
I think it's fantastic. Not gonna lie.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
No, and there were actually, I just realized there were a lot of things that I probably didn't pick up on the previous times I watched this movie that I just thought were hilarious this time around, clearly. But yeah, so, I mean, Hayley Mills is obviously the star. I don't know why I thought that she had like a twin sister that was also in it, but no, that's not the case. I guess I didn't think they had the technology or something to do it that way back then. But also, you notice they didn't really do a lot of shots where they were both...
They did plenty of shots where they're both together.
Yeah, but they did a lot where one of them was facing away from the camera.
Yeah, they did plenty of that too.
And it was clearly a double, but whatever.
Yeah, and they did have a double, but they did a lot of the double vision shots.
Yeah, and she was very young. Like, I don't think I remembered her being this young in this.
Wait, she wasn't as young as the character, like 13 or 14?
No, she was, but I'm saying that compared to that darn cat, she's noticeably younger.
What, is this 4 or 5 years before?
Yeah, I know that, but I'm saying that in my head, I don't remember her being...
Okay, I definitely remembered that, but I had seen the movie, I guess as recently as you.
Yeah.
But I definitely remembered her being a little girl for this movie, so...
And I mean, Brian Keith as the dad is so...
As the man.
He's so good.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, he's a classical, manly dude, rides horses, hikes on trails, eats fish, gets it done.
Drinks whiskey. Doesn't have a problem in this one.
Calls his daughter names, which is funny.
Oh, yeah, he's perfect.
Yeah.
And then Maureen O'Hara, of course, is the mom, and as Maggie, and she's just... Wait, this movie did actually have kind of a problem of, like, not saying people's names till, like...
Oh, my God. I didn't know Susan's name until well into the movie.
Well, and I'm going to go ahead and just real quick, it was a fun fact that I had, but I have another one, so I'll just say it now. But her name was not revealed until 28 minutes into the movie.
Who, Susan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because they kept saying Sharon.
Yeah, no, I know.
And, yeah, it was, so that was something.
And as soon as they said it, I was like, oh.
Yeah, I know.
Write that down.
I saw that.
Well, I thought I was dumb and missed it early on, and okay, that makes me feel better.
Yeah, and I gotta give a shout out to Leo G. Cornell, who was the Reverend.
Oh, yeah, he was pretty funny.
Yeah, no, and I don't really remember him from watching this previously, but his parts were some of my favorite parts of the whole movie.
So, and I'm going to give a shout out to Nancy Culp, the lady who was the camp counselor lady.
The older one?
No, the younger one with blonde hair who was skinny and kind of funky looking.
Oh, who was walking her to her cabin at the beginning?
Yeah, and walking them all around.
Yeah.
She is the precursor to half of the blonde comedian ladies now. The skinny blonde ladies who are comedians.
Yeah.
She's the first one.
Yeah, no, she was really
and I'll
good.
give her some shouts for her cameo in this movie.
Oh, so she was a comedian?
I don't know, but the comedians that exist now are definitely
taking a note out of her book.
Taking a page out.
And also the lady who played Verdina, Una Merkel. Verbena, thank you. Sorry. She was really good too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
With her, I'm not saying a word.
I'm not saying anything. I just
yeah.
Which if you've ever met a country person, that's exactly how they act.
Is there any other shout outs you want to give out?
No shout outs.
Okay. Did you have any fun facts?
They had to film around Hayley Mills' growth spurts in this movie.
What?
Yeah, that apparently she did a lot of growing, which makes sense for her age.
Yeah.
And you can kind of tell when you see it that sometimes she looks really tall and kind of developed, and other times she looks like a little girl. And they had to kind of do some tricks to get around that.
Interesting. I actually didn't really notice that, but that's actually a very fun fact.
Very fun.
So fun. One fun fact I found, in the shot where Mitch falls over the chair, he cracked a rib, but he kept on filming like nothing had happened.
Oh yeah, he's a man.
Because he's a man.
He's a man.
He's a man. Was there anything else you had to add to the beginning?
No, I think it's time to get into it.
Okay, so the movie opens with, as you mentioned earlier, some crazy claymation scene.
Yeah, with the big swinging Parent Trap song with Annette Funicello singing it and some dude.
If their love's on skids, treat your folks like kids, or your family tree's gonna snap.
So to make 'em dig, first you gotta rig.
What do you gotta rig?
The Parent Trap.
How do you know it was Annette Funicello? Did you look it up?
It said it on the opening, and it was clearly obvious that it was her.
It did say it?
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah. All three of the songs were sung by her. And you could tell it was her kind of plainish voice, but man, did Disney push a lot of Annette Funicello.
I mean, maybe they thought she was hot or something.
Yeah. Maybe Walt Disney thought she was hot.
Maybe they were secretly having a romance.
Maybe it wasn't so secret.
It was kind of a long opening, though.
This is a super long opening. I didn't mind it because I thought it was kind of funny.
It was, because they had all the claymation. It was essentially almost the same as those Rudolph cartoons from the same period.
So, is this the only Disney movie with a divorce?
You know, that's actually a very interesting thought, because that is a thing in all the movies. They usually just kill one of the parents.
Right, like Air Bud. They just kill the parent.
You know, Bambi, but you know.
Apples to oranges.
But yeah, no, actually, I think that this might be one of the few stories where divorce is essentially the main theme of the...
Oh, and maybe I guess Santa Claus.
Yeah, that's true, but it's not the same type of thing because they're not trying to get them back together. But yeah, no, that might be the same thing. And we see the Sherman Brothers again.
Yeah, they write the songs, Annette Funicello and I think it was Tommy Sands, which for some reason I recognize the name, but I didn't bother to look it up, are the ones that sing the songs.
Yeah, no, I didn't look it up at all.
Yeah.
I was just distracted by the little Cupids kissing and making out.
The little fat Cupids. They were super fat. It was a modern day Cupid.
Yeah, all the Cupids are always fat.
No, but all the people in their thing were all, which was odd.
In the claymation?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, they were. We get to summer camp, and Sharon McKendrick of Boston arrives.
Okay, what kind of freaking summer camp is... In all of these movies, there's these summer camps where they look Like, I didn't go to a summer camp like this.
So I think, and I'm actually 91% sure of this, this is just an East Coast thing. Us in the West Coast don't have these things for some dumb reason.
Well, we have summer camp, but not like this.
No, that's stay away summer camp, which we don't really have.
What do you mean?
Did you go to a summer camp where you stayed the night?
Yes. We went to summer camp where it was, you stayed for a week, but not essentially 3 months.
Right. So I think that's what I mean. I think that's an East Coast thing.
But, they have the uniforms. And it just wasn't like this. And it may be, I think you might be right. It might be an East Coast thing. But so, she shows up in the fancy Rolls Royce or some kind of fancy car. She has a British accent, but she's from Boston, which is...
British-ish accent.
But it's never explained in the movie.
Well, no, because they're bougie, they're rich, they're high society.
But, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
And, I mean, pretty much right away, she sees her twin in the mess hall.
Yeah, they get a twin peek, and they're like, what?
A twin peek.
Yeah. And the girls are like, oh, that girl stole your face. What are you going to do to her?
Bite off her nose, then she won't look like you.
Yeah.
Who's she? I never saw her before in my life. The nerve of her coming here with your face. What are you going to do about it?
God.
And so they're camping. There's going to be a dance on Saturday.
With the boys.
Oh. And then we cut to the dock where they talk some to each other. And Sharon dunks Susie and her pals over in their canoe, and they're all pissed.
It's actually her roommate that dunks all of them.
Yeah, I suppose. That's true. But still, Susie and her pals decide to do some gopher trapping.
What does that mean? Okay, what does gopher trapping mean? I don't understand.
I just assumed that it was this prank where they stick a bunch of string and cover you in goo and cover the floor in goo and some traps.
So, I guess what I mean when I said earlier where the whole beginning part is better. The whole part where they're at camp is way better in the remake.
Okay, great. Maybe it made more sense to you rather than then, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And but this part, And why is there using honey? I don't know. It's gross.
And so it was something that was more prevalent back then.
Oh. But so they put, and the whole thing is that, if you don't keep your bunk clean, you can't go to the dance.
Yeah, you can't go hang out with the boys.
So.
Can't go get.
Just more I have to cut out. Tear their bunk apart. And so they wake up and it's all chaos. And then, of course, at that moment, their camp inspectors are coming to do an inspection and they walk in and it's a complete mess.
Yeah.
Complete mess. So then
we go to the dance right away and there's the Cher song with Annette Funicello singing it.
Well, and to be fair, when I was listening to it, I thought, it sounds kind of like the Monkey's Uncle. So, I mean, yeah. So yeah. Let's get together, yeah. Which is catchy as but whatever. And so the other 3 girls don't get to go to the dance because their cabin was a mess. So they're trying to figure out how they're going to get her back or whatever because they couldn't go to the dance. And she's dancing with some boy who's supposed to be hot. I don't know. So she leans over the railing, and I do remember this part very clearly from watching this.
Where they cut the back of her dress out.
Which is so traumatizing.
It's a fantastic prank.
I mean, it is, but also traumatizing. I would never want that to happen to me. That'd be terrible.
Right. But then she finds out, and they see each other right outside the cabin, and they fight. Immediately, Susie just comes up and decks Sharon right in the dome piece.
Well, they have a slap.
Oh, yeah, there's a slap, then a deck in the dome piece.
Yeah, the slap is hilarious, though. They each slap each other, and it's just, what? You never get that in these old movies. Slap.
I feel like you get it more in the old movies than now, because people used to hit each other, which was fantastic.
Not in the Disney movies, though. Not like this.
This is... Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say it now. This is a Disney movie by the skin of its teeth, especially for 1961.
I'll agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're all, and there's whole chaos. The lady holds the cake up and it gets stuck on
the beak of the totem pole, then it falls on her face.
Yeah, which...
The guy loses the big punch bowl into his lap, and it's just a wackadoodle noodle all through this scene of chaos.
Which also, quick sidebar fun fact. Well, so the director wanted to cut the cake part out, but Walt Disney was, no, leave it in. It's going to be the funniest part of the whole movie.
He was actually probably right about that. It is.
Falls on the lady, and then we get the scene where they're sitting in the office with camp counselors, and the main camp counselor just thinks that she's, by sisters.
You're the worst. She thinks that their sister's a person. The other counselor's like, no. They're not sisters. They just look alike.
They look identical because they're the same person. What?
Yeah, the lady is like, okay, fine. The punishment needs to fit the crime. They march them out in front of the whole camp. The whole camp follows and then gets sent away. But they now have to bunk, eat, sleep, and live together for the rest of the 4 weeks of camp.
I just want to say, if this was nowadays, they would just send them home and keep the money. They wouldn't keep them at camp. They would literally just send them home and keep the money.
And you've seen the change in society for that.
Yes.
So there's a lot of ice at the beginning. They're very cold to each other. They're totally opposite kinds of people.
Well, yeah, because, and I can't remember which one is which, but the California one... Susan, thank you. She's very tomboyish, casual.
But super boy crazy at the same time.
Yeah, I'm California, but then Sharon is the slightly British accent Boston one who's more proper.
Right. But eventually, or quickly, I should say, they start talking.
Well,
I'm Boston, I'm California, after a little storm thing.
Yeah.
So, this is my handsome dad. Oh, we have the same birthday.
Oh, I like how he's smoking a cigarette in the picture, too.
Oh, yeah, man. If that was me back in the day, I would have been smoking a cigarette in my picture, too. And then asking about the mom.
Yeah, and there's a whole thing where...
Then Sharon has a burning feeling.
Yeah, she's
psychic.
Well, her mom's, I always know when things are going to happen. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. And, I just want to say, Sharon's fake wig hair.
The bump thing was really funny. I loved it. I loved it.
It's so bad.
Yeah, it was bad, but it was funny.
It's bad.
So she throws a picture of her mother to Susan, and Susan's, wait, how did you know that was my mom?
Yeah, and so basically it's them realizing that they're sisters, and it's very dramatic, but not really. And
at this point, can I just go ahead and say that both of those people are the worst people on the planet to split up twins between themselves? How can you be that bad of a person?
I mean, it would never happen that way. What kind of a parent are you that you wouldn't want to see your other child?
So you just split them up and pretend like the other one doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's problematic in a lot of ways.
In a way that's actually problematic.
No, I agree. That's not realistic, but it's fine. It makes for a good story, whatever.
Yeah.
And so they put it together, and they realize they're sisters, and then all of a sudden...
they're like, we should switch places.
Well, before... I just want to say that... okay, which one is the California one again?
Susan,
thank you. Susan's like, oh, and she's going on with these freaking some noises for like a minute, and
she's the one that needs a mom, which is probably more important to a young lady.
I mean, really, and Sharon's what? And she's, I want to know mom, and you want to know dad. We should switch places. And
fate brought us together. So then there's the short haircuts. The big notes of what each person has to remember and the way they need to act.
And, you gotta bite your nails, which really?
I honestly think that's a very good detail because, I mean, you're gonna know your kid, the Kant, aunt, and shant. I mean, all that stuff is important because you're gonna be like, wait, did I get back the same kid? Even though in both places... The people that really knew the kids, not the parents, but the people who really knew the kids knew something was wrong.
Well, and
Grandpa and Verbena.
I just Can't wait till we watch the sequel. That's all I gotta say.
Man,
this whole part is done way better. But anyways, okay.
I highly doubt it, but okay.
It is. But yeah, so she's cutting short hair is very difficult. And
Of course, but who cares?
it's fine, but
That's
whatever.
Like the least important part. I mean, really, with how long they were gone, they could have cut and grew to medium both of their hair, and it would have made the same impact. I mean, who cares?
But there was so when the camp is over, there was a really stupid scene that's actually one of my favorite parts. The girl that's trying to take home the skunk.
Oh my god, yeah, that was a good throwaway. Oh, I tried so hard to catch you and raise you. Oh, I can't believe I have to let you go.
It's just so dumb, but it's one of those stupid throwaway things that old Disney movies have that new ones don't, and it's so good.
Right, and that's why the new ones suck.
Yeah.
Or at least the live action new ones suck.
She's a fancy going to Boston. But I got a British accent, but I'm not explained, whatever.
Honey, I think that's how high society did it back then when you had that
I know,
kind of thing.
I know. And she's got a fancy AF grandma, clearly.
Yeah, she's super hoity-toity. But yet Grandpa is a super nice guy. She hugs him, she sniffs him to create a memory.
That part is so cute.
It is pretty cute. And she's like, oh, you smell like tobacco and peppermint. He's like, oh, I use peppermint for my digestion and tobacco to piss off your grandma.
I love the grandpa.
Yeah,
He's
well,
so
yeah, the
cute.
grandpa is one of the best characters.
He is. So then her mom comes, and of course, right away, I'm like, oh man, your mom's hot, but whatever. And so, and it's never really explained what exactly her mom and grandma do, and they're just in this high society.
They're just a rich family, that's it.
Yeah, and so her mom is, I have all these appointments.
Old money.
Yeah, they have all these appointments, and then, of course, she's like, Sharon.
Susan.
Pretending
to be Sharon.
Susan, I'm sorry, it's very confusing, because they have the same acronym name. But Susan is, oh man, mother, I want to talk to you about this boy, blah, 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 but whatever. When's a good time to get married or something? And her mom freaks out and cancel everything.
Yeah, cancel all my meetings for today. Something came up.
Susan's just being a schemy little but whatever.
Yeah, she's very smart. She's very clever.
She's being very Haley Mills. And
so she asked like 50 questions about the dad. There's this big, long walk they take through the park that's green screen for some unknown reason.
Okay, right? It's the only scene in the movie that's green screen.
Right, and it makes no sense because the last shot of them in the park is not green screen.
Well, and all of a sudden, because Haley Mills is asking about their first date, and all of a sudden, Maggie, the mom, is just starts singing.
Well, she starts humming the tune of the song that was playing in the restaurant.
And it's just whatever. And it's, quote, their song.
Yeah, their song.
So the cinematography is all whack at this part.
It is a little weird. This is the only part that anything kind of went wrong, but whatever.
But also, what did they do with their picnic basket?
Maybe the help got it. You gotta remember, they always have the help.
I know.
In both locations, they have the help.
Yeah, that is true. And they're clearly, it's just so funny that both of the parents are these wealthy individuals.
That actually, okay, that was one of the more salient points of the movie to me, is that they were both wealthy. So they both must have met in some kind of wealthy circle. And it actually rang kind of true to me. Of, oh, one's poor, one's rich. No, they're both wealthy, of course.
Fair enough. Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what happens after this?
So then, Susie, Sharon, gets picked up by Dad at the airport.
Oh, right. And she's being really awkward.
Yeah, Sharon is nowhere near as chill as Susie.
Yeah.
I mean, Susie got a little unchill around her mom for a second, but Sharon is super unchill from the moment that she sees her dad until Susie shows back up with her mom.
You mean Mr. Calloway?
Yeah, whatever. So Dad shows up and he's just kind of with her, and she's like, oh my God, Daddy, I love you. It's kind of awkward and weird. It's like, oh my God.
Talk about daddy issues.
Yeah. So they show up at this California ranch.
Oh my God.
Big ol' welcome from Hecky and Verbena, and both of them are like, who the f*** is this girl? This isn't the girl that went away. And then the dog Andromeda is flipping out. Who is this person?
Well, okay, and I just want to say Verbena is a beast because immediately there's something different about you. The dog doesn't recognize, so she knows right away. She knows.
Yeah, but so here's the other thing where the wealthy circles make sense is wouldn't all the wealthy people send their kids to the same camp? Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah, no, you're right. You're 100% right.
Yeah. I mean, it totally checks out. And then, of course, the help, which is either Grandpa or Verbena, they know right away that something's not right.
Yeah, because Verbena's, it's so weird that your dog doesn't recognize you.
Right, and if you really break it down, you've got to think that these people thought that it was 100% wrong that they farmed their kids out to one person and didn't tell them about the other. This had to be like something where you're a total douche. What's wrong with you?
Well, yeah, because Verbena, later in the movie, you didn't know a good thing when you had it. She's a sassy...
Yeah, she is.
Oh, and I just want to say, this house is amazing.
Oh, yeah. I
love this house.
In 5 seconds.
I love this house.
Yeah.
It's California mid-century. It's amazing.
Right. It's the kind of place that now has 81 houses built on that property. But, what a place.
Yeah, no, and like it has these great wood beams. That's how
beams and stone. Yeah, it's fantastic.
That's how I know I'm an adult. I noticed the architecture in movies.
Okay, I noticed that right away. Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, that house it just speaks California. And if it wasn't so terrible to live in California, I would want to live in California. It'd be great.
Never.
No,
but yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
And then don't we meet Vicky at this point?
Oh yeah. So Dad has a girlfriend.
Well, and Verbena is just talking shit about her without talking shit about her.
Oh, right. Well, so yeah, first they're upstairs and Verbena's like, well, I don't talk about blah, 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 blah. But she's basically warning Sharon, that Dad has a girlfriend.
I'm not saying a word. I don't say a word. But
she tells the whole story.
Yeah, basically saying that Vicky is a gold digger. And
we meet Miss Robinson, Vicky, who's just some blonde. Nobody cares.
Okay, this is, I think, the biggest mystery to me in this movie is they keep talking about how Vicky looks like a child. She looks so young. She looks old to me.
Well, okay, I think her styling looks old now, but I think then it looked young.
She looks older than the Maggie.
No, if you put them close to close, or face to face, Maggie has some wrinkles around her mouth. And looks old enough to at least be kind of his age, and that is uglier, but it looks young.
I don't know. It just
I think the part that you're missing is that Vicky's not hot.
No, Vicky.
She's just kind of an ugly young broad.
Well, I think part of it is that her hair looks gray to me.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I think that back then it made sense, but now it makes absolutely no sense because you're like, wait a minute. Maggie's banging, and this Vicky broad. You can pick her off the streets.
Looks like a grandma.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. And so, essentially, then Sharon goes outside in her swimsuit, which is super cute. And I just was like, I want that swimsuit.
What's funny about that is I wanted the dinosaur floaty that she had. The thing was cool.
Which is a pond, but not a swimming pool. Which
was a lake. They called it a lake.
Yeah, which is a little weird for California, but whatever.
I really, that was actually one of the best features of the house is that it's built right next to the lake.
Yeah.
Where you could just kind of walk out across the sidewalk and jump into the lake, which basically is my dream, except for instead of jumping to the lake, fish into the lake.
David's dream house.
Yeah, whatever.
Redheaded lady included.
Can I have them both?
Ew, Vicky's so gross.
I know, she's nasty.
She's like a grandma.
Young grandma. You.
Her are only half gray. So yeah, Sharon goes out there and she's essentially trying to allude to the fact that her father is a playboy.
Yeah, he likes to get it in. There was 5 out here in 1 week.
And then Vicky's, really?
But yet Vicky absolutely knows that that's not true.
Because she's probably been there the whole time.
And she's, oh, I rode your horse. How does that feel? And it's like, please, I'll kill you.
Yeah, pretty much. And so he comes back.
He's like, oh, what do you think of Vicky? Sharon basically kind of runs from him until they get back to the house. And Verbina's, hey, Susie, what's going on? And Sharon confesses that...
Whoa. You are skipping.
Oh, no, sorry. You're right. I just got ahead of myself.
Sorry, I just had a mild heart attack because I was, what is going on in this movie?
You had the heart attack beforehand.
Yeah. So before all of that, there's a secret phone call where Sharon gets...
Yeah, the late night telly.
Sharon gets on the phone with Susan and is like, hey, you gotta come out here, blah, blah, blah. And Susan... rightfully so. I agree with Susan.
It's like, I want more mom time. Are you kidding me?
You've had her for 13 years. I haven't seen her at all, which...
I got her for 1 day.
I understand.
Yeah, makes sense.
And so she hangs up,
and we cut to golf time with Sharon and Dad.
Oh my God.
Old-timey golf, which is fantastic.
Yeah, you tried to skip over one of the best scenes in the movie.
I just lost my place.
I know. And she starts to ask him about her mom, and he's like, oh, she married some drunk. And he's like, that's not true. He's, yeah, you're right, it's not true.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to be a total dick about it.
Oh, she was so fat. Well, then why'd you fall in love with her?
Which is funny, because that lady is super, like, big-shouldered and big-hipped. But she's not remotely fat.
No, she's hot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then he gets confused and thinks that she's trying to have the sex talk with him.
Yeah, or the period talk, I assumed, maybe?
He thinks the sex talk because he's like, you have to understand about young boys. I was a young boy. And Sharon's like, oh, no, I know all about that. And he's like, what are you talking about? And so there was a miscommunication between the two of them.
Yeah.
And then they go to meet Edna, who is Vicky's mother, and she is...
who's on the golf course, so at, like, the clubhouse.
Yeah, and Mrs. Robinson, who's Vicky's mother, is actually one of the better side characters.
Right, she's been married 4 times for money.
Oh my gosh.
She's teaching her daughter to do the same thing.
She's ridiculous.
Yeah, luckily California's a community property state.
And they come up, who is this gorgeous creature?
Yeah.
Just like, what the
I just wish I could grift people like this. It would be so much fun and so easy, but I can't do it.
You just don't have the hips, honey. It's okay.
Oh, I have the hips.
But also, Vicky and her mom look like they're the same age. So,
well, that is a bit... I mean, you're right. I mean, the casting of Vicky is probably the biggest mistake in this movie.
Yeah.
Why couldn't they put Marilyn Monroe in Vicky's spot?
I mean...
Or any of the ultra hot chicks of the 60s. They had to pick somebody who's basically a Nebraska 5.
Yeah, I just
it
don't...
makes no sense.
I don't get it, but...
That's probably the only bit that takes away any points from this movie.
Yeah. So then we go back to the house, and this is where Sharon tells Verbina.
Yeah, Verbina's, hey, are you sure there's not something wrong? Are you sure there's not something you need to tell me? You always confide in me, and now you don't confide in me.
She already knows. She knows.
Yeah, she knows. She knows. And Sharon, who is by far the weaker twin, just confesses. She's like, oh, Verbina.
Yeah, she is 100% the weaker twin. Yeah. Are you kidding me? And so then we get Dad telling Sharon, which he thinks is Susan.
While she's playing the piano, and she can't play piano. Playing it perfectly.
Oh, where'd you learn to play piano? Oh, I learned it at camp. Oh, and that's pretty impressive for 5 weeks. God, are you the biggest dip that ever lived? And also, why do you have a piano then?
I think he plays it.
I think that's a load of So he tells her about Vicky and him, which is obvious to the audience, of course.
Right.
And
I think his wiener's just halfway full through this whole part with
and
the Vicky thing.
This part's actually really funny because, I think it's so great that you want to adopt Vicky.
Yeah, because he asks if she would be okay with making Vicky part of the family. She's like, as a sister? Yeah, I think it'd be great if you'd adopt Vicky.
Well, and this is one of those things, too, that I will say through most of this movie, there were a lot of repeated lines from the sequel, from the remake. And
right, which you have to give credit to this one because it comes 30 years before.
No, I know, but I kept thinking about those, and I was just, oh man, that was so good. So
you're trying to say that Lindsay Lohan is better than Hayley Mills?
I'm not gonna say that at this time, but...
See, I can't wait for you to watch the remake again. I think that's gonna change your mind.
I think it's going to change your mind.
Yeah, we'll see.
But I kept thinking about the remake.
Lindsay Lohan's not that charming.
I just kept thinking about the remake the entire time I was watching this movie, and it did have a lot of repeat lines, so I was having a hard time. But yeah, no, that part was really funny though. That's a fun. I've always wanted to have a sister.
But Daddy, she can't. She's a child. You can't marry her.
And she starts freaking out. All of our plans and blah, 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 blah. And Dad's just like, and goes away.
So Sharon kind of loses it with Vicky, and Sharon knows that Vicky's just in it for the money. She's like, you didn't know Daddy was just completely wealthy?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah.
Are you inferring that I'd marry your father for his money?
If the shoe fits, wear it.
Look, Pet, I've tried to be friendly, but I'm going to marry your father, so you get used to the idea.
You want to bet?
Oh, honey, don't you play with the big girls. You'll be in way over your head.
The gauntlet is thrown down between Vicky and Susie. Quote unquote.
Is this where Vicky's wearing her yellow power suit?
Yeah, I think so. And this is where Sharon sends the telegram to Susie that almost gets her busted.
Well, it's all in code. She's Alexander something 3 a.m. and Susie...
Alexander Graham 3 a.m.
Yeah, which... Is that the name of the telephone?
Alexander Graham Bell, who invented the telephone.
Oh. And Sharon.
So me and Grandpa are the only one that got that.
Oh, is that why Grandpa was down there?
Yeah, he understood exactly what the message was about. There's a phone call at 3 a.m.
Oh, right. And the Grandpa...
Which Grandpa picks up.
Grandpa's listening, yeah.
Yeah, and basically Sharon is telling Susan, hey, you've got to come home. Dad's going to get married. You need to come home tomorrow.
Yeah.
They hang up, and then Grandpa's at the base of the stairs and says, hey, Susan.
Yeah.
We have to talk.
Who's Susan?
Who's Susan? I don't know. What are you talking about, Grandpa? And Grandpa is like the biggest pimp of all time.
It's not even the scene. We'll get to it. But, so then it gets to a dinner scene, and everyone is so fancy throughout this whole movie. Oh my God, you're so fancy. Well, no,
it's not dinner, it's morning, it's breakfast.
Oh, is it breakfast?
Grandma is just cracking the whip at everybody about what you're going to do. This is what and Grandma, that's all she is just a whip cracking, like the help, and her daughter's basically the help, her granddaughter's basically the help. She is the narrator of her own orchestra. Susie drops the bomb. I'm not going to do any of that today. And she's like, what?
I'm not Susan. I'm Sharon.
No. I'm not Sharon. I'm Susan.
Yeah. I'm not Sharon. I'm Susan.
And she's like, I'm sorry, Mother, but I want love as Susan, not as Sharon.
Well, and of course her mom is freaking out. Oh exactly. My God.
And Grandma's also freaking out, like, what are you lying to me? And Grandpa's, get out of here right now. This is the one time I'm standing up to you in your entire life.
Yeah,
you're going to leave those two alone.
And he is right.
Of course.
They need to be alone. They're mother and daughter, which, what kind of a mother are you if you're abandoning one of your children? But whatever.
Yeah. You're like, oh, we'll split the kids up. Oh, sure. They're just twins.
I just liked you better because you had a better freckle.
Yeah, they're just identical twins. We can just split them in two. Who cares?
One of my favorite scenes of the movie where they're all packing to go to California and the grandpa goes in there and is, oh, you're going to wear that old dress? And, oh, I guess it's good you kept your hair old. And he's basically...
So hang on. Before that, there's a little scene with Susan and her mom where her mom and Susan are talking about 6 months at a time. And, oh, good. His and hers, like a bath towel. I feel like a bath towel, which is a very important scene to me. That is devastating.
Yeah.
And then Grandpa plants the seeds of his daughter looking like a worn out old dish rag.
Well, he's trying to make her, and he keeps saying, give my regards to Mitch. Because he clearly liked this dude before.
Well, he liked the dude, and he must have absolutely talked to Susie.
Oh, yeah.
Well, clearly he talked to Susie, and he's on her side. He's like, yeah, you should get these two back together. Let's do it. Because as soon as he's done with that, he gives a big wink to Susie.
Yeah.
And Mom's, well, why don't we go to New York for a couple days beforehand instead of just going straight to L.A.?
Yeah.
Okay, Mom. And she comes back. We basically end up in L.A. and she's decked out.
Yeah, she's got a new, like, her hair is more red somehow.
More red and a little more uptight, shorter, tighter.
Which, okay, speaking of hair, the whole time before all this, wait till your grandmother sees this and blah, blah, blah. Her and her grandmother have the same haircut almost, and she's, oh, what are you, a boy or a girl?
So I think back in this day, that the older you got, the shorter hair you got, because your hair got kind of thin and weird.
It's so dumb.
And you had to kind of dye it and make it weird.
Although I will say, their bangs are so far up on their head, it's not a cute short haircut.
But it was the style of the times.
Whatever. So then we go to California, we get the reunion of the mother and the daughters, and it's cute.
And the daughters are all like, oh my God, oh, I love you. Which they show up unannounced, which is kind of like, really? That lady's not going to say, bring up Mitch, be like, Mitch, we got the wrong kids coming down to your crib. Let's swap them out.
It's just the whole...
Sub dog, I'm out.
The whole premise of this story is really...
Although we may not know. Communication was new back then. Maybe you would just go get the proper daughter.
No, I just meant really you don't want to know your other child. You're just going to be good with one. Like, I don't buy it.
But then again, it's a German book.
I know.
People, very efficient. One kid you, one kid you.
And I do love it though. But I'm just saying, like, the whole thing is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But they show up, and of course, all the staff sees her, and they're so happy to see her because she was probably so wonderful, as opposed to Vicky.
And hot, like, yeah, they're like, oh.
And I don't know,
Miss Maggie.
I don't know why I wrote the worst part of being feminine. Why did I write?
Oh, because when Dad comes back in the house, he's like, you've been ignoring me for 2 days. This is the worst part of being feminine.
Oh, okay, because he's talking to Sharon, but it's
No. He's talking to the real Susan, who had no idea what happened the last 2 days.
Right, but
she's like, "Oh, yes, Father, you're right. I haven't talked to you in 2 days," because she would never do that. Because she's Susan, not Sharon.
Yeah, and there's probably a technical movie name for this, where the mom and the dad keep missing each other in the bathroom and the blah, 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 and they go back and forth, and it's a great scene, but...
It really is. And Dad finds the bra in his... What?
Yeah, and the mom, Maggie, is wearing his bathrobe, and one of the parts, the girls come in there and, oh, Vicky's downstairs. Do you want to see her? And she's like, oh, I haven't seen her yet. And she's like going to go spy on her. And
they're going to go spy her. In the meantime, the Reverend is, I'll take a double bourbon on the rocks.
Well, the funny part about that is the dad, Mitch, he's, Reverend, I like trying to be all respectful. I don't suppose you indulge. And he's like, I'll take a little bit. But then he stops him and is like, double bourbon on the rocks.
Yeah, and measures out with his fingers how much he wants. It's hilarious.
Clearly, you do indulge. It's hilarious, yeah.
And the second that the dad, so they're running around looking at Vicky, and the second that the dad sees his ex in the background, he falls over.
And apparently cracks his rib.
Was it this time that he cracked his rib?
Well, when he goes around with the drinks and he goes over the chair, yeah.
Oh, okay, so yeah, the first time.
And he just keeps filming.
Yeah, yeah. So he falls over the chair, cracks his rib, and he's... and he keeps filming. And then they have another scene where then again they're running around in the background the same way, and he falls into the lake.
Mm-hmm.
He gets all wet.
Yeah, and he goes inside, and then...
he goes into the bathroom, and Mitch and Maggie meet in the bathroom. Surprise!
Yeah, and they have an altercation, and she ends up punching him, and it's really funny, but not funny. If it was the other way around, people would have a cow, but whatever.
Yeah.
But
and he has the black eye for the rest of the movie, which is hilarious.
And it's funny because she has this little arm.
Well, yeah, the way that she punched him, she would have broken her wrist, but whatever.
Yeah, and so she ends up on top of him on the couch. Let me look at it, and the Reverend walks in right at that moment, and he's like, oh, okay. And he's, no, and he pushes her off the couch, and
yeah, and the Reverend's like, no, it's all good. Don't worry about it. And the Reverend's like, why did you let her go? This lady is hot.
Well, the Reverend's trying to get it in, but whatever.
Yeah, he's like, wait. What, you're trying to marry this other? Why didn't you marry this one?
Yeah.
She's hotter.
Yeah. And is this where she goes upstairs to change?
She does.
And he's telling Vicky, blah, blah,
and he's telling Vicky about it, and she's being a total, which is a total red flag.
But here's the thing, though. If you were her, I mean, granted you're a gold digger, but if you're, no, just listen.
No,
just listen.
Baby mama, no.
If your dude is like, oh, my ex-wife is here, well,
with my other daughter.
Yeah, but you'd be, what the...
No, with my other daughter who switched places with the other daughter. There would be no what the... If you were really into it, you'd... Oh, I'm sorry. That's f***ed up.
But he's talking about her... the dad is talking about Maggie. She's some old hag. Oh, she's older. She's had 2 kids. And she comes down the stairs and she's like... Boing!
Is he lying?
No, I know, but it's just he's trying.
When he left, she was still fat from being pregnant.
I guess, but she comes down and then everybody's like, "Oh, she's really hot," but whatever.
Yeah.
Probably one of my favorite bits in the whole movie: the Reverend randomly, awkwardly laughing. And everyone just looks at it. It's so funny. I don't know why, but I thought that part was really funny.
So the girls enlist Hecky, who says he won't help with being a gypsy.
Oh, right, for dinner.
Yeah. We do the recreation of the first date.
Right, because earlier Susan had asked her mom, oh, tell me about your first date. Oh, it was this Italian restaurant, but she had described the whole thing, and so they try to recreate it, and they put on a show and they sing the Let's Get Together, yeah, which is one of the only musical numbers from the whole movie.
Right. I mean, at first Hecky comes out and embarrasses himself, but then the 2 girls just take it over and they're like, let's sing together, yeah.
It's super catchy.
And somehow Verbena takes over on the piano for Sharon in the middle of it, but whatever.
Yeah. And it's a super catchy song, and they end up leaving them alone to eat together.
Yeah, because the girls are going to bed, and Mom and Dad can recreate the date.
But it didn't go very well.
It went okay. Well, we split because of your Irish temper.
Well, she kind of does freak out for no reason a lot.
Well, she's a rich girl.
I guess. she's like, blah, 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 blah. I don't even remember what she was yelling about, to be honest.
Yeah, she's just all mad, and she's like, oh, you can go and marry that plot-faced child with electric hips.
I do remember the electric hips comment. But I think this was part of the thing is, through most of this movie until the end scene, I didn't really get their relationship. I was, well, maybe it was good they split up. I don't really get their relationship. I don't know.
I totally got it the whole time. I mean, if you have a kind of hot relationship, that's okay. It's okay for it to be a little heated.
But
I mean, ours, instead of being heated, is sarcastic. Look at the face you just gave me.
Audience can't see the face.
That's fine. They shouldn't.
No, I guess I didn't really... I don't know. It wasn't the same as those Callaways, we'll just say.
No, but the girls are depressed because their little plot didn't work.
No.
But then they're resolute. They're like, hey, I got an idea. Let's do this. They come downstairs the next morning dressed identically. And nobody can tell anybody apart. And they're just duping the parents.
Do you think that would be a thing?
Totally. Have you met twins?
No, not really, actually. I haven't. I don't think I've ever actually met twins in real life.
It's diabolical. You can't tell them apart. Unless maybe you're a parent. But these people were absentee parents, so of course you can't tell them apart.
And they say we want to go, because apparently they go on some camping trip.
Well, wait, they want the mom and Sharon to miss the plane.
Yeah.
Which they do. Who's who? We gotta go out on a camp out. This is the compromise that the girls come up with, is that mom and dad have to go on a camp out with Sharon and Susie, except for at the last minute, mom decides, oh no, Vicky should totes go in my place. I'm going to stay here and relax at the house.
Well, Vicky is, I won't let it happen.
I won't have it. I won't have it.
And the mom's, I know where mixed old shirts are, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, dresses her up, throws her on the truck, and then she goes on a hike.
Well, she's a baller. Maggie totally knows what's going to happen.
Of course, because she's been on that hike already.
And I think that Maggie... It definitely is more, I want to get back together with Mitch at this point than Mitch is with her. Oh,
total. Well, I think Mitch wants to get it in with her, but he also is kind of blinded, doesn't really know where he's going to go.
But Maggie is just such a strong...
Right, she's strong, but she doesn't have any other coming her way, so she's not blinded like he is. He's kind of blindfolded coming into this, like...
Yeah, and so they go on this outdoor trip, which apparently is camping, but you have to hike for like 1,000,000 miles.
Which is technically what camping is supposed to be if you're not fat.
Vicky is clearly not an outdoors person.
At all. And the girls trick her into drinking out of a canteen with a lizard on it, and Vicky threatens them.
Yeah, and Vicky also watches them talking about banging sticks together to get a mountain lion to go away.
Yeah, to get cougars to keep them off, and Vicky's just super paranoid, like, oh my god. There's the underwater standing trick where they're at the lake finally.
Oh my god.
And one of them is standing, which looks like 12 inches of water. And they're like, oh, come on, look, I'm just up to my knees. And then falls in up over her head because they're standing on each other's hands and legs, and the other one's barely breathing. But whatever.
And I just want to say, this looks like a great camping spot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's more of an East Coast thing. Once again, better camping places. Maybe we should move. If anybody has a place to recommend,
I was just thinking,
move rurally where I can still work and Kelly can still work. Give us some recommendations.
I mean, I was just thinking that, maybe we should move, but whatever. And you get the fire scene where Vicky is like, I hate trout, blah, 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 blah.
I mean, who hates trout, though, really?
I don't know, and then my favorite part of this was the Hecky guy winking at them, like he knows what's going on.
Yeah, he knows that they're trying to sabotage the whole thing, and he's in. Hecky is not all about this Vicky broad. He knows that she's just a gold digging.
Yeah, and so
the girls are like, oh, can I have more trout, Daddy? And they're like, oh, we're going to go to bed.
Yeah, and so then they go and f*** her up in her tent with honey again.
Yeah, they do the gopher trick on her.
Yeah.
With honey and ropes and strings. Because apparently Daddy is such a tough dude. He's sleeping under the stars.
Which, that didn't make sense to me.
No, it makes sense to me. If you know anything about people who are into real camping and real tough dudes, they sleep under the stars.
But why wouldn't he sleep in there with her so he could get a little poke?
Well, okay. Now you and I are on the same page, but I'm just talking about tough dudes.
Whatever.
Yeah.
That didn't track for me at all.
You gotta remember, back in the day, that wasn't factor number 1. It was factor number 3C. Because he was already old. Yeah, get it. After that, Vicky tears up the camp. She's all pissed off.
Well, okay, I want to just sidebar. This scene is so funny.
It is hilarious.
Like, she has because basically she wakes up and she's got 2 little bear cubs.
Licking her toes.
And she's this, and the Hecky guy is like, it's just bear cubs, they won't do anything. Which
they're tiny.
Which is like, the mama bear would be there, but whatever. It actually is kind of a big deal. And so she's freaking out, and she just bowls over. She's like, F this.
Thanks a heap. You're twins. Do you share everything?
Everything.
Well, you give your sister her half of this.
Hey, wait a minute. There's no cause for that. They didn't do anything to you.
You never know what they did to me, you big goon. Get me out of this stinking fresh air.
And then the kids are like, oh, what's wrong? And she hits the first kid she sees, like just straight up bashes that kid in the face.
She slaps her!
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, and so she just goes, and it's over between the 2 of them.
Yeah, which is clear. I mean, that's fine. She's gone. She loses.
But,
oh, sorry, Paul. We feel bad.
But what did he see in her? I don't get it.
Close.
Really? She looks like a grandma, so...
Yeah, but she gave it up.
I guess. Even though he didn't sleep in the same tent with her.
Tent, but...
So then he goes home, and Maggie is in the kitchen cooking, and
Mitch sees wool.
Well, he does literally watch her up on the thing, and he's, hello. So then I'm gonna go change.
So he gets cleaned up, he cleans himself, he gets into his pants, the best pants he has that shows off his... Goes back downstairs. Oh, why did you get all ready for me?
And this whole part, I mean, he is very charming. Like,
absolutely.
Like, I was sitting there like, oh my god, like, I'd get down.
We were charmed with those Callaways. We were charmed in this movie. I mean, and they have this whole scene back and forth, and he's really good in this scene. And I'm like, god damn it. With his music and his red wine and his stew.
Well, they have this whole scene, and it's a very believable back and forth between the 2 of them, and it's a very kind of emotional scene.
Right, but I mean, give me a fucking break.
She's so hot.
Yeah. I mean, give me a break.
No, but this is actually kind of an emotional scene because they realize they belong together at this point in this scene.
Yeah, he misses the wet stocking, hairpins, and mixed with it, or the wet razor. That's dull, and the hairpins mixed with his hooks. Basically, he misses her.
Here's the thing, though. This whole part reminded me of his part in those Callaways. He's so good.
Yeah.
He's just, and she's so good, and then, yeah, it's been so long since I had a...
Yeah.
But Sharon all of a sudden wakes up and is like, oh my god, I had a dream that we were in matching dresses. And
orange dresses.
And so then it alludes to they get married again and blah, blah, blah. Everything's happy. And that's the end of the movie.
That's it. Yeah, it's a long movie.
It is a long movie. And so, David, what was your favorite part?
This was extraordinarily difficult.
It really was. I had a few favorite parts.
So I'm going to go with the camping and hiking scene because it was hilarious.
So, you mean the whole thing where they're f***ing with her?
Yeah. To be clear, where they're f***ing with Vicky.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good. The whole thing, it's good. It's really good.
Yeah. They're precious, and Vicky is psychotic. I love it.
So I had a couple of favorite parts.
Oh, no, I had multiple, but that's the one.
But my first favorite is actually at the house when he first sees that she's there, and it's a very long scene. There's that whole scene with the Reverend, and like he sees that the Maggie is there, and he's what the
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
That whole interaction is so good. But my second part is actually the very end scene with the two of them kind of get back together is so good. I had a lot of butterflies and happy feelings at the end.
That's there with me too. I will give an honorable mention to Sharon in the lake with Vicky talking about dad getting in all over the place. Is a really good scene too.
And I will give an honorable mention to the grandpa talking to Maggie like, oh, you sure you want to wear that? I really did enjoy that part quite a bit. And it is
pretty good.
Yeah, no, this whole movie it's
very good complaint.
I feel very confused because I kept comparing it to the new one.
Which is garbage. You should never do that.
No, I shouldn't, but also I really like the new one also. So
you liked the new one, yes.
It's bitter in parts, but
maybe,
whatever.
But you haven't seen it in how long?
A couple years, 12 years, but whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So this is already a false narrative.
But also, it's a stupid scene, but where Vicky freaks out at the campsite and she's like knocking stuff over.
That's what I was saying. Camping scene.
I really liked that part. Like,
it's hilarious.
I do feel the second half of this movie is way better than the first half.
Disagree. They're both great.
No, I disagree. I think that the second half is way better than the first half.
That's fine.
So songs, you had the Parent Trap song from the opening sequence.
Which is really jamming and cool.
But the real star is Let's Get Together, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And all three songs are by the Sherman Brothers. All three songs are sung by Annette Funicello.
Wait, what's the third song?
But it's in the credits. It was in the credits. Y'all can fact check us. There are three songs. They're all Annette Funicello and Sherman Brothers.
Let's get together, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I keep thinking. When I think about this movie, that's all I think about is let's get together. But whatever.
Yeah.
So, and the main character is kind of a hard thing to decipher from this one.
It's Susie and Sharon.
It is, but...
And they're fantastic. They're very different from each other. They're very funny. They're very smart.
Yeah.
And they do a million funny things and a million smart things.
I got confused a lot of parts of the movie of like who was who.
How? It was so easy. I really honestly don't know how you're confused.
I'm dumb.
It started with Susie and Sharon. They switched places, Susie and Sharon, and then they went back to being Susie and Sharon.
I don't know.
Easy.
Maybe it's because Susan's name isn't revealed until 28 minutes into the movie.
You know, we were both confused by that, but it wasn't really that confusing.
But also, like, Maggie and Mitch are the real scene stealers of the movie.
Yeah, Ma and Pa, being their hot selves, steal tons of scenes of this movie.
Oh, but just Maggie, I think she might be my favorite female character of all
which is fair. I mean, she's...
No. It's not about... She's so clever, and the whole scene where she's getting Vicky to go...
I guess it's fair. I'm the only one that likes clever. It's true.
But the whole scene where she's getting Vicky to go on the camping trip, and she's, oh, okay, bye. Like, her character, like the Reverend says, such a charming, wonderful woman. She really is. She's great. I love her character. And I consider both the mom and the dad kind of a main character.
Oh, totally. And Vicky is a wonderful villain.
Oh,
she's disgusting. She's a gold digging.
She's clearly just wants the money.
Yeah. Well, they spell it out from the very beginning.
Which,
this is a gold digging whore.
Why does he have money?
Nobody gets into why either of them have money. We don't really need to know or care. They just do.
I guess.
and she's gonna get it, but she's not.
Yeah, no, she's really good because you hate her from the very beginning.
Right,
like, she's
right.
just, ugh.
So you hate every scene that she's in. She's villainous in every scene. She's mean to the kids. She's just a terrible, horrid
Boarding school in Switzerland.
Yeah, nobody likes her.
Can we give a shout out to the side characters, though? I mean, Verbena.
And Hecky.
And
Hecky's just as good as Verbena.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
And Grandpa and Grandma. But
No.
Grandpa is a fantastic side character, too. They just showed him first.
Well, and Vicky's mom, Mrs. Robinson, she was really funny.
Yeah,
like
cracking whore.
She's like...
Oh, wait, Edna? Are you talking about... Yeah, Vicky's mom, Edna. Was a perfect gold-digging mom. I mean, she is the perfect...
Caitlin, oh God, what's her name? Not Val.
Chris.
Chris.
She's the Kris Jenner of the whole group. Ugh.
Yeah, no, she really is, though.
Yeah, she is.
But my favorite side character is the Reverend Mosby. I mean...
the drunken Rev is pretty good.
That part when he just laughed out loud awkwardly, I laughed out loud.
Well, yeah, he was loving the spectacle of the whole thing.
He's like...
He was just being a real dude, which I really appreciated of him.
No, I love him. He's so great.
And for the cinematography, it was funny, it was weird, it was super for the time. They did a great job. It was 1961.
No, I got that.
And they doubled up Haley Mills.
But, okay, here's the thing. I don't understand why that one part was them, like the part with her mom and her in the park in Boston.
Yeah, I mean, we could go over that, but I'm sure... I'm sure...
I wasn't impressed.
That when they filmed it live, something went wrong, so they had to refilm the part and green screen it. I mean... That's the only explanation.
Yeah. I don't know.
Some Boston guy was like, "Hey, y'all!"
Tapes.
Threw one on her head. I mean, it clearly was not their first choice.
No, and honestly, that whole scene where they're in the park was weird. I can't speak because it's girl to girl. That whole scene stuck out. Like, I don't like it. Fair enough. Whatever. What was your biggest surprise or disappointment from this?
No disappointments.
Well, yeah, okay. What was your biggest surprise?
That was the biggest surprise. That there was no disappointments. I wasn't disappointed at all.
I mean, so my biggest surprise was that I thought going into this, Haley Mills, she's going to be the MVP. She's incredible. But the mom was the MVP and the dad. I was so surprised that I was so drawn to the mom and the dad. I was like, Haley Mills, these two motherfuckers are my favorite.
Maybe it's because I had seen this movie recently, but I already kind of knew that. But I also thought that she was fantastic.
She was, but you also didn't see the end, and the end scene between the two of them was so good.
Yeah, I thought it was good too.
Their chemistry in the end scene was so good. I was, whoa, you're so good. Like, I loved it. I thought it was great. So if you remade this movie, what would you change?
Nothing. I can't believe they remade this movie.
But here's the thing, though. I really like the remake they made.
Whatever.
They did a really good job in the remake.
Until I see it, I honestly, until we see the remake, I don't care at all. I can't even put it into my ratings. Disney has made the unfortunate mistake of only remaking perfect movies. This is the start. There is no budget written for this movie.
Oh, there isn't?
There's not.
Did they make a...
Kelly, the budget for this movie was probably like...
$5.
$14,000. Literally like $14,000.
I know, I didn't write it down.
Yeah, well, I didn't either because it doesn't exist. But this movie's made $29 million. Yeah, but I mean, in 1961, nothing cost anything.
No.
Literally. Even with the double vision Haley Mills, if this movie cost $100,000, it cost $1 million, which is nothing. Compared to the $29 million it's grossed.
It is a lot. And I mean, It's one of those movies, too, if people... I think this is one of the few old school live action movies that people have actually seen.
I actually disagree. Based on the $29 million, I don't think anybody's seen this movie, and I think they need to re-release it now.
I don't know. I disagree. I think a lot of people... Because I remember watching this as a kid. Well,
that's fine. That's fine that you watched it as a kid. That doesn't mean everybody did. And I really think that a 2021 re-release instead of a remake would be really good for this movie.
Fair enough.
What was your rating, Kelly? How did you feel about this movie, really?
So I did have a hard time because my brain kept malfunctioning because I kept thinking about the remake.
A huge mistake.
Okay, so here's the thing. Think about it. I've seen the remake a lot, so I kept
Right, that's what I'm saying. A huge mistake. You're not basing this movie off of this movie.
No, but I still really liked it. I gave it an 80%. I still really liked it. I thought it was a good movie. An 80% is a good movie.
Okay. Wow.
What? That's a good score.
Okay.
80 out of 100 is a good score.
I give this movie a 97% because it's basically perfect.
Is that your new number one?
It might be.
Whoa.
What do you think the Rotten Tomato score for this movie is?
Wait, you gave this movie a 97%?
The only two problems with the movie is it's slightly too long and his wife is ugly.
97%?
Can you come up with any other problems with the movie other than it's slightly too long, which neither of us brought up, and the lady that they cast as the second wife is slightly ugly?
No,
No, so is there another problem?
No, I'm just surprised that you liked it so much.
It's a fantastic movie.
It is. It really is.
And that's why I'm offended at your low, stupid score.
Hey,
what do you think the critics scored this movie at?
I think it's in line with mine, 80%.
Okay, so it's 90% with the critics.
Oh, well.
And then 75% with the people.
Which is basically 80.
Yeah.
Basically 80. Just saying, I'm right.
No. All of the rest of you, I don't know what movie you're watching. I don't know what your problem is.
I still liked it, and 80% is really high for me.
Yeah, whatever.
And 80% is really high. Wait, are you drawing right now?
I'm getting ready to.
Wait, stop it. It's so stressful.
Stop it.
It really does stress me out. I'm scared, actually, because what if this is a terrible movie?
I mean, it very well could be.
What if it's like...
And then you're going to feel really dumb for scoring the movie where you thought you would.
What?
I'm dumb.
I'm happy with my 80%.
It's a good score. So we have movie number 223.
I don't know what that is.
It's in the late 90s.
What is it?
It is from I want to go back. It's from 1998. Mighty Joe Young.
I have seen this movie.
I haven't seen it, but I never want to see this movie. And I don't want to see it for this podcast. I don't want to see it now. I don't want to see it then.
Do you even know what it's about?
It's about some gorilla.
You are correct.
Yeah, no, I get it. I've seen the commercials. I don't want to see this movie.
I saw this in theaters with my dad.
That checks out.
It's kind of upsetting.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's horrible. It's about a gorilla in 1998. I don't want to see it.
Well, you have to because it's
I got it.
Wait, Mighty Joe. Okay, so what else about the gorilla? What do you think it's about?
I'm sure it got put down or something. It's just a horrible gorilla story. Based on the age of 1998, it has to be something horrible.
Well,
because that was all of those late 90s to early 2000s was just awfulness.
I think this has Charlize Theron in it.
No.
No.
Young Charlize Theron?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's hot.
Yeah. No. And he's like a giant gorilla.
Oh, yeah. He's definitely a giant gorilla, no matter what happens.
I just remember there was part of it, even as a younger person, I was very upset by it. Really upset by it. And I don't remember what it was, but...
So at this point, you were literally 7 years old.
Yeah, and I was upset.
So that means it's horrible. That means it's a horrible movie.
God, I didn't realize that was a Disney movie.
Oh,
yeah, so next week we will watch... Oh my God, I feel like this is going to be really sad.
I feel like it's just going to be awful. I don't want to watch this. I'm sorry, everybody.
I feel like I'm going to cry already.
Yeah, probably. At that note, if you want to cry, follow us on social media, Facebook and Instagram at this point. Following us is just basically saying you subscribe.
Please leave us a review. I actually really like reading the reviews, so I challenge you, please leave a review.
Otherwise, send us an email at thedisneymovies@gmail.com. We will reply to you. We will interact with you. We love hanging out with you. But in the meantime, this has been At the Disney Movies with the Hearts.
I'm Kelly.
I'm David.
Bye! Yeah. Why don't you and I have fun? Just sitting here, waiting for David to come outside. Yeah. Hanging out with myself. Day drinking is not a good idea.
It's fun. That's kind of the point, is it's really, really, really fun.
I'm an old woman.
So am I. But I'm an old man.
Old woman. David just said he was an old woman, everyone. Okay. Okay, let's do a sound check.
Let's do a sound check. Let's hope it sounds good.
I'm pretty sure
so everyone can hear us.
I'm pretty sure everyone and their mother can hear you.
Cool. I don't remember folding this into 4 pieces, which is really weird.
Maybe there's a ghost. The ghost of Jack Sparrow is in our house. Do you already have your stuff pulled up?
I'm all ready.
Oh, well, this is new.
You're usually the one that's not ready. I was actually super ready other than that thing falling out. Yeah, it broke.
Well, guess you need to go get a new thing, huh? And you wasted all that whiskey.
It's not that much whiskey. It's mostly ice, but...
Okay.
This episode is doomed!
4 years later. A glass was just broken and whiskey was spilled. It was very sad. I was coming up with how many ways I could do that song. I have a finger fart version. I have a metal version. I have so many versions.
Cool.
Okay, one last sip for good luck.
Definitely won't be my last sip, but... Okay.
Well, I've had 22 minutes to sip, so...
Are you ready?
I mean, are you ever really ready?
No.
My breath feels so minty after drinking a gin and tonic.
Minty?
Like fresh.
Oh.
Let's just wait for David to get his life together here.
Yeah. Yeah, big time. Just because you were out here for 22 minutes and ran out of booze.
Well, I'm sorry that somebody was dragging their heels.
I wasn't dragging my heels. I lost my nose.
Ugh, this dog over here.
Yeah, and the dog.